Welcome back, everyone, to the Women's NTC Invitational for the Under-20 U.S. national team taking on Brazil in the final matchup of this competition. Glad you can join us from Glenn Mooch Meyernick Field at the National Training Center here in Carson, California, about 13 miles south of downtown Los Angeles. The sun has come out, the winds have picked up, and we've got but one match to go. Inaugural event, which has already seen the Japanese clinch the first ever title for the Under-20 Invitational. They won earlier today 9-0, no less, over Mexico to win the trophy. They were handed the trophy after their match, and off they went. So only one more match to go, and it pits Team USA against Team Brazil. Each team with a victory in this tournament, and both of these countries got that victory against Mexico. The United States beating Mexico 1-0 on Thursday, as Brazil did on Tuesday. Brazil against Japan lost 4-0. The United States lost to Japan 2-0, or 3-0 rather, on Tuesday. As we're getting things ready, and you can hear, wherever you're listening, the wind certainly playing a factor as they're blowing across the field, and that should certainly make things interesting. And you can see the United States huddling around their manager, Michelle French. Third year as the Under-20 national team manager, hoping to lead this team in another World Cup cycle and try to become the first ever manager to repeat as the manager of the U20 team at the World Cup. She managed them to an appearance in the Under-20s last summer in Canada, losing in the quarterfinals on penalty kicks to North Korea. Germany ended up winning the Under-20 World Cup then, and Brazil certainly saw the United States, or rather Germany, in that event, as they did lose to them. And also Brazil lost to the United States at the U20 World Cup on a Lindsey Horan goal in the 82nd minute last August, keeping the Brazilians from advancing. Couple that with the fact that Brazil lost to the United States on penalty kicks in the quarterfinals at the World Cup in 2011, and you've got yourself the makings of a nice little rivalry here on the pitch. So about ready to get things underway. You see the ball at midfield. The United States with Mallory Pugh, who had that goal against Mexico, is the lone goal for the U.S. in this tournament. And Megan Buckingham getting the appearance for the U.S., her fourth cap. And for Mallory, this is cap number 14, 5 goals. And we were talking with Michelle French before today's match, and she said she certainly has the makings of a player who can star on the Under-20 level, as she already has, but also on the Under-23 and perhaps down the line the senior level. Mallory's already committed to UCLA, even though she's a little ways away from that, only 17 years of age, committed to UCLA in 2016. So while the U.S. wearing their familiar red uniforms, striped with blue and white, and Brazil in their familiar yellow with the green numbers, the Seleção against the stars and stripes. And we're glad to have you here today. Danny Lee with you in the United States, trying to get an early goal. Here's the familiar Mallory Pugh, the cross, and just missing on it. Taylor Raciopi, the 18-year-old, who is committed to play at Duke next fall. And Brazil gets the possession. Here's Julia Bianchi, 17-year-old, member of the Under-20 World Cup team for Brazil. And certainly, as Dorival Bueno said, the head man for this squad coming into this tournament, he said one of the big things for the Brazilian women's youth program was trying to get back on the beam as far as the U20 level. Last two Under-20 World Cups, Brazil has gone winless. That's certainly a vexing note. Only one win in the last 3 editions after having a pretty good run to start off the event through the first 4 Under-20 World Cups. They had won 11 matches, and as mentioned, only 1 in the last 3. trying to push it quickly, and it's out of bounds going back to Brazil. Well, one of the keys talked about by Coach French coming in was the fact that the United States certainly needed to be aggressive. One of the things that Coach had talked about with us before today's match is, yes, they want to impress, but they have been a little tentative through the first 2 matches of this, and she wants to see a little bit more aggressiveness, a little bit more fire from her charges, and we'll see what they can muster here today against Brazil. As we're about 3 minutes or so into this match. And for Brazil in net, Carla had the shutout of Mexico on Tuesday. Back to the United States, throwing it in Sabrina Flores. We saw her sister Monica, as you heard the other day on Thursday. The 2 twin sisters who play at the University of Notre Dame were squaring off wearing different countries' colors. Monica wearing the colors of Mexico in this tournament. And they're certainly a little black and blue after that meeting with Japan earlier today. Resulted in a 9-0 win for the Nadeshiko. Bouncing ball, swept up by Natalie Jacobs, speaking of the University of Notre Dame. The Coto de Casa native, Orange County, California, heading to Notre Dame in a couple of years' time. Opposite side of the pitch, here comes Courtney Peterson, their 6th cap here today. And back to Brazil it goes. So Brazil, the South American champion, 6 times over. They'll be setting their sights once again on repeating that feat this summer. And also a big deal, not only the Women's World Cup that will be getting underway beginning today, but also the Brazilians, a point of contention for the women's team is, you know, hosting the Olympics in 2016 and trying to win on home soil, something the men's team could not do at the World Cup played in Brazil last year. Pressure from Matos for Brazil, number 14, and the U.S. will get a throw-in on the far side of the pitch. The U.S. considering their options as the Brazilian bench counting out the seconds, trying to let the referee know how much time they've taken. Mallory Pugh sent to the pitch, starter on that Under-20 World Cup team. It'll be Brazil's ball. Carla, who plays for Grêmio Osasco in Sao Paulo. Soccer in Brazil starting to make inroads. Has come a long way from where I guess you would say that the sport was about 50 or so years ago, when it was actually against the law in Brazil to play. No joke, folks. Here comes the United States again. Parker Roberts, the Leawood, Kansas native, goes to Sabrina Flores. Misfires on the pass going to Buckingham. Trying to get it over to Jordan Haar. Hard defense from behind by Bruna Calderon. And it will be a corner kick for the United States. We're scoreless in the early goings here in the first half. From the National Training Center here in Southern California. Megan Buckingham, sophomore to be at the University of North Carolina, which made it to the 3rd round of the NCAA tournament this past year, losing to South Carolina. 14 wins in the process. Ball pinballed around. Natalie Jacobs trying to fire a shot. U.S. though maintaining possession with Courtney Peterson. Down the middle, nearly a seam for Taylor Raciopi. But good defense by Brazil. But right now the Brazilians just trying to clear it out of trouble, and that they have been unable to do, as the U.S. will get yet another corner kick. It'll be Buckingham again. Megan had 4 goals this season for the University of North Carolina. up at the Tar Heels in her first season. This one's well outswung up into the air, clatters around, and once again it's Carla having to make a diving stop on the ball, and here come the Brazilians. Yasmin. And they'll reverse course to the opposite side of the pitch. Here's Karen, whose twin sister Kellen is also on the team. Beatriz Menezes, 17-year-old midfielder. Dumps it off to Brenna, who had the goal against Mexico on Tuesday for Brazil. Knocked down by Peterson for the U.S. Kept alive by Kellen, and now we've got a foul. Referee Jasmine Peralta for this one. She's assisted by Jennifer Politz and Michelle Gonzalez. Hard shot rifle, and it's just parried over. Oh, wow, what a play. As Matos unleashed the shot. So the United States now will have to be on the defensive. Casey Murphy making a nice play to keep that one from being 1-0 Brazil. Here's Yasmin. Good takeaway for the U.S. And here comes who else but Mallory Pugh. Pugh storming down the field, and she's all alone in space. To her left is Savannah DeMello. And DeMello now making a hard charge. And just in the way is Carla. Back out to Pugh. So the pace picks up just a little bit. Here comes Brenna. Just a step in front of Sabrina Flores. And Jacobs will safely handle it to Murphy, making her 5th appearance for this Under-20 national team. Casey Murphy, playing collegiate soccer at Rutgers, was a member of the Big Ten All-Freshman team this past year. The U.S. so far 1-1 after sweeping through the La Manga tournament back in March, beating Sweden, the Netherlands, and Norway. They'll have a couple of tournaments coming up, including one Michelle French talked about that could be in Honduras as a means of preparing this team for the CONCACAF championships. And one of the features of Honduras is the fields are not the most pristine shape, and she joked before the game that we kind of have it spoiled out here with the fields in tip-top shape. So she's trying to get this team ready for that upcoming tournament in December. Gabriella handling at number 10. Now we'll go back around as Julia Bianchi, who was a member of the Under-20 World Cup team in 2014 and the Under-17 World Cup team a couple of years before that. And here come the Brazilians. Shot across the face. No one back, though, for Brazil as they were making a hard charge at the counterattack as Kellen got off what appeared to be a shot. No one there on the rebound. Here comes the U.S. with Parker Roberts. Pugh splits the gap. Pugh up ahead. And Rayciopia step behind. And it'll be Carla, once again, the 18-year-old netminder for the Brazilians. Here in the first half, Danny Lee with you. Glad you could join us. USA, Brazil. And the National Training Center, which is just about a stone's throw from the StubHub Center, home to the LA Galaxy. In fact, you see it right across the way, probably the base of it. You can see on your computer screens at home. The LA Galaxy will be playing the Vancouver Whitecaps later on today. It's a busy day down here in Southern California. This one's kept alive by Yasmin, walking a tightrope for Brazil. As Gabriella. Gabriella still with possession. And good defense from Kaylee Reel, number 19, having an impact in this one. And the United States will take back possession. Brazilians firing a salvo early on here in this NTC Invitational finale. But so far, U.S. hanging tough. Let's see what their response is. Here's Flores. Jacobs Gets it through to Roberts. Roberts looking for Pugh, and good tackle made by Beatriz Menezes. And Pugh once again shielded out. Mallory Pugh with the goal the other day against Mexico, her 5th as a member of the Under-20 national team. In May, named Gatorade National Player of the Year after efforts at Mountain Vista High School in Colorado. Was handed the award by none other than former U.S. national team member Brandy Chastain. There's Jordan Haar. Pugh again. That one hit off the corner flag, but it will result in a corner kick for the United States as it went to the right. And the Brazilians will have to defend for the 3rd time in this opening period on the corner kick. It'll be Megan Buckingham to take it. She also a Gatorade State Player of the Year in 2014, Miss Soccer Michigan at Northville High School. U.S. bunching up to the near post. Pugh at the top of the box. It's up into the air, and Carla climbs the ladder. Nice play for the Brazilian keeper, keeping this one scoreless. As we talk about these two teams, these two countries on a collision course, Brazilians knocked out in the U20 World Cup last August, losing to the United States on the senior level on penalty kicks at the last World Cup. But in 2007, they beat the U.S. in the semifinals before finishing 2nd to Germany in the event. Germany, one of the favorites in Canada over the next month at the Women's World Cup. Here is Brenna. She'll go back to Beatriz Menezes. Yasmin, great play by Megan Buckingham, who's been all over this pitch. Meyernick Field, located in Carson, California, about 13 miles from downtown Los Angeles. On the run again is Menezes, and Carla will help out. Her pass ahead to Matos. And a long shot, and that one certainly takes off for Parker Roberts. There's a lot of wind blowing. It's not necessarily north-south. It's actually blowing east to west across the field. So it could wreak havoc on the passing here today. No, we haven't seen any ill effects down on the actual field. Over on the far side, it's Kaylee Reel watching it go out of bounds. Reel, the 18-year-old defender from Fairfax Station, Virginia. And the U.S. back in possession. Savannah DeMello looking for Pugh. Karams to Raciopi. And then DeMello will just reverse course now to Flores. Flores marked by Kellen. And a takeaway for Julia Bianchi. Julia out of options, goes back to Beatriz. Her pass almost flagged down by Pugh. Now the U.S. on the run. Here's Peterson. She'll let it go out of bounds, and it'll be another U.S. throw-in. Peterson, the defender, earning her 6th cap as a member of the U20 national team. 16th minute of action. We're still scoreless, the U.S. and Brazil. Japan has already won the trophy at this tournament. First inaugural U20 Invitational here at the NTC. There have been a couple of U17s, including earlier this year. The U.S. has won both of those. Here's Mallory Pugh in space. Pugh to Raciopi, just couldn't hang on to it. Beatriz goes back near side to Julia Bianchi. Yasmin. And the United States, Megan Buckingham picking her pocket. Sent to the pitch, DeMello. Ball out of bounds. The U.S. bench wanted a foul. And they had a good argument at that, but nothing was called, and it'll be Carla on the free kick. Carla will keep it on the left flank over to Flores. Or, excuse me, forward to Yasmin. Here comes Raciopi. Falls down once and twice. And Brazil keeps possession. Flores trying to get it back from Brazil. Instead, it's Julia Bianchi. Bianchi marked from behind by Buckingham. And Yasmin goes to Beatriz Meneses. Touch for Karen. Brazilians in the yellow and green. Here's Marjorie. One of her chance few touches. Gabriela. On the run is Kellen. And she's blocked out by Natalie Jacobs for the United States. Jacobs named by Top Drawer Soccer the #1 U.S. or Southern California prospect in the U.S. As mentioned, committing to the University of Notre Dame. Ball will stay in U.S. possession. United States, as mentioned, the Under-20 World Cup champions in 2012. However, in 2014, bounced from the quarterfinals by North Korea. Trying to get back to the World Cup. They'll have their chance to play their way in December. They play in the CONCACAF Championships in Honduras. No foul call as Julia Bianchi sent to the pitch. And now we've got a foul as the U.S. Taylor Raciopi is slow to rise. And now it's Julia Bianchi having some words for the referee, Jasmine Peralta. That foul probably a retaliation variety after not hearing a whistle on their own end. Trying to get her way out of trouble. Sabrina Flores having an eventful possession there, and now she'll throw it in for the U.S. clad in their predominantly red uniforms as the wind blowing in the direction of the Brazilian goal right now. Kept alive by Jacobs. And a goal kick for Carla, and Brazil will take back possession. Seleção trying to now move it onto the U.S. half. But the U.S. going back to the Under-20 team going forward, trying to make up for the disappointment last year in Canada of not advancing from the quarterfinals, being the reigning champions. But it's historically been something that the U.S. has had to deal with. 2002 in Canada, Tracy Leone's team winning, and then it took until 2008 in Chile when Tony DeChico took the U-20s back to the title. And in 2010, another finish short of the final before in 2012 in Japan, Steve Swanson got the squad back to the title game, which they won. Last year missing out and hoping that Papua New Guinea holds the winning combination for the Under-20 World Cup. But the U.S. has a lot of work to do in order to get back there for sure. Still trying to figure out the players that will make up the core group for the run that will continue on into Honduras in December. Here's Mallory Pugh for the U.S. Pugh dashing toward the byline, and a nice pass, and it's put through by Taylor Raciopi. Here in the 21st minute, excellent passing by the United States to take the lead. Pugh playing the role of distributor, and Raciopi getting the goal, her first Under-20 international goal. Let's check it out again. You see Pugh dashing toward the byline, slipping it past the Brazilian defense, and the one-timer cracked to the back of the net by Raciopi. And a sweet first goal it is for Taylor Raciopi to put the United States up 1-0. Raciopi committing to play to Duke in 2015. And she's got a pretty good head on her shoulders, too, they tell us. Plans to major in pre-med, and it's a pretty good school to do that. In fact, her high school, the Academy of Allied Health and Science, was a magnet school that accepts only the top students in Monmouth County, New Jersey. And when she was there, she had a chance to shadow a lot of orthotics and neurosurgery doctors. Try and help their future prospects as a pre-med student. As far as today, scoring and, well, not necessarily with a surgeon's knife, but carving up the Brazilian defense. The combination of Puda, Raciopi, and we've got a 1-0 USA lead about halfway through this first period. So Brazil having to come from behind yet again, found themselves with a 1-0 deficit against Japan. They lost that match 4-0. And against Mexico, they went scoreless in the first half before scoring a late goal in the second to win it 1-0 here at this NTC Invitational. Marjorie is denied on the far side of the pitch, and it'll be a throw-in for Bruna Calderon. Calderon thrown in the corner. And Brenna, who was the goal scorer on Tuesday, a brief touch before she loses it out of bounds. So the U.S. will have it deep on their half, and Brazil will send the defense up. Throw-in buys the United States a little more real estate, some more breathing room. Leading by a goal, and now trying to perhaps add to the total. Here comes Parker Roberts. She's denied. The Brazilians take over with Gabriela. Center of the park is Julia Bianchi, and a whistle. And the Brazilians, and now there's, well, not so much how do you do's between Julia Bianchi, who believed that she should have been ruled as having been fouled on two occasions already that she has not got the whistle for. And Dora Valbueno now talking to the fourth official quite vehemently, Karen Apt, right below us here on the near side. And the frustration certainly beginning to build for Brazil here. Natalie Jacobs dumps it off to Kaylee Ariel. Tackled by Karen on Raciopi, and here comes Brazil. Julia Bianchi goes ahead to Kellen. Kellen trying to win the ball back, and she fights off Casey Murphy, or rather Kaylee Reel. Jordan Haar, brief possession, loose in space, and Roberts again. Though it's flagged down by the Brazilians, Bruna Calderon. Over into the corner. Brazil draped in the yellow and blue uniforms. Cross into the middle of the area, and Jacobs gets it out of trouble. But not done yet. Julia Bianchi goes down, and the referee, Jasmine Peralta, waves it off. No foul. And, boy, Julia Bianchi, you could see the body language right now, really frustrated. Now, the Brazilians have known to, well, perhaps sell a couple of fouls, but that one certainly causing a lot of angst on the near side, on the near touchline for the Brazilians. Cross into the middle. Sabrina Flores moving the ball along. Here's Raciopi again, already the goal scorer here today, and the United States leading 1-0, 26th minute. Raciopi. Cross glances off of Natalie Jacobs. And chasing it over onto the far side is DeMello. Another Brazilian player down. Michelle French, the U.S. coach, wanted a handball there. And we'll see who's down for Brazil. It is number 15, Bruna Calderon, and the trainer, Wanderlei Brilhante, will come out with the team doctor to check on the fallen player while the United States will set up for the corner kick. But Savannah DeMello helping to force the action on that last play. Buckingham out of the left corner. Whistle blows. It's outswung and headed out of trouble by Brenna. And the Brazilians again, there's Julia Bianchi. Loose ball snapped up by Jacobs. U.S. possession, Pugh down the middle. Raciopi gets the left foot on it, but elevated that too tall. And that one's heading for the parking lot. Ball girls over there behind the net are going to get a good chasing after that ball as it's bouncing over to where cars are driving just off beyond the trees, as you can see at the top of your screen. People starting to come a little early for the LA Galaxy game here later tonight, taking place at the StubHub Center just off to our left. Here's Buckingham, the cross, looking for Pugh. Good defense played. Matos able to make the stop. And the United States will get yet another corner kick, already leading 1-0 on the Raciopi goal. Now looking to put another one through. U.S., qualifies as their 6th international contest, official international contest, after the tournament they played in Spain, and then this one. So they're well seasoned already. Loose ball inside the area, and it looks like Jacobs got a touch on it. Went over and out. U.S. players trying to curry favor with Jasmine Peralta, the referee, to say that Brazil last touched it. But nothing doing on that end, and the Brazilians, the Seleção, will take it back. Both these countries' senior women's counterparts will be taking to the field in Canada at the Women's World Cup on Tuesday. U.S. women will face Australia. Meanwhile, Brazil will take on South Korea. I should say the women for the U.S. take on Australia on Monday. The Brazilians and the South Koreans on Tuesday. Throw in for Sabrina Flores. And Flores goes hard off of Gabriela. And once again, Flores will toss it in for the United States. Flores playing with the U18 national team in 2013. 22 appearances for the University of Notre Dame. No goals, 3 assists this past season. Stay with the U.S. About a half hour in, and it's 1-0 USA. And Flores will do it yet again. Sabrina trained at the IMG Academy. In fact, the Notre Dame team's kind of interesting because not only do you have the Flores twins there, Caitlin and Taylor Clavender, another set of twins. And Flores, trying to avoid having the repetitive stress disorder, will have to throw it in yet again. More action in the corner, and this time it'll be a foul against Mallory Pugh. Whistle for throwing down Beatriz Menezes there. So free kick for the Brazilians, who have had a tough time clearing the ball out of trouble in recent moments. They had a lot of action on the U.S. half early on in this one, not so much lately. Giveaway almost going back to Pugh, but Beatriz able to step in the way of that. And now it'll head all the way back to Casey Murphy, who made a huge save, remember, earlier on in this match to parry a shot over the bar. And keep the Brazilians from scoring the first goal in this one. Throwing for Brazil, Bruna Calderon. Headed down and out of bounds it goes. Courtney Peterson with the defense. And once again, here comes Murphy up to the top of the box. Murphy, the native of Bridgewater, New Jersey. through the defense. Julia Bianchi, one of the most experienced players out there for the Brazilians on the international level. Here's Buckingham. Drives her right foot into it, and then gobbling up possession is Carla. Carla lets it fly out toward midfield, ahead of the onrushing Kellen. And again, there's Peterson, who's on her way to the University of Virginia. Speaking of Steve Swanson earlier, who led the U.S. Under-20 national team to the World Cup in 2012, the head coach at the University of Virginia. And Peterson talked about that being a factor in why she chose the Cavaliers as her collegiate destination, just the coaching and the experience. Certainly the continuity with the national team. Bounding ball, and Taylor Raciopi couldn't keep it alive. You know, it's another interesting factor, too, talking about, well, with the collegiate context, the international team, because we were talking with Michelle French before the match, and it's an interesting dance that the national team coach has to make at the under-20, under-17 national level, or more specifically at the under-20 national level, about trying to figure out, because keep in mind that CONCACAF championship is in December. That's right when the NCAA postseason is having to pick a team and getting players on the squad, seasoning that you know will be there to compete in that championship down the line. And part of what she said in having the foresight in picking players is knowing which colleges typically let their players go, and of course which ones have the track record of success into the NCAAs. But it is an intricate dance when you get on this level in picking the team, especially on the United States side of things. Here's Carla at the top of the box. And one thing that Michelle talked about was, essentially going with players that are, on the other side of the college age of 18. Those that are still in high school and probably will be by the time the December regional championships come up. United States procuring possession. Here's Savannah DeMello. DeMello, by the way, may understand some of what's being spoken on the Brazilian side of the field. Her dad, actually, Robert, is from Portugal. Spent 20 years playing the sport. Over in the corner. And Jordan Har goes down, the ball out of bounds. And it will be a corner kick, and Buckingham will race over there once again. So the United States with yet another corner kick to be levied against the Brazilians here with about 10 minutes to go in the first half. And Buckingham once again to do the honors. And you figure with a last name like Buckingham, some English ties. Well, her parents did live in England for 4 years. But that was just an offhanded guess. But the corner has been the Buckingham Palace, as it were. And up in the air, it's parried over by Carla into the shrubs. And Megan will do it again. So the United States scoring in the 21st minute. Pugh going to Raciopi. Nice passing there. This shot lashed. Top of the box. And up in the air and out. Second try by Jacobs after Buckingham's try. And yes, a third corner kick for the U.S. in succession against Carla, number 12 in your screen. And you see Raciopi there, right in front, number 11 for the U.S. This one's vaulted in the air. Carla parries it away. And now they'll have a corner kick on the right side of the field. So 4 consecutive corner kicks. Talk about putting pressure on the defense. This time, however, the United States will send Jordan Har over into the corner to take it. Jordan from Sac City, Texas, already committed to Texas Tech, choosing Texas Tech over such prominent NCAA schools as UCLA, Stanford, and the process. This one's at the side netting, and finally the Brazilians can have a sigh of relief. Carla taking good usage of the time. Brazil, part of the challenges we referenced a little bit in women's soccer and development. There is actually no national league in Brazil right now. Well, at least it's on its way up, I should say. The Brasileiro has been coming up. It's in its third season this summer. Previously, no national league. They do have the Copa do Brasil on the women's side as well. However, it does have limited financial support, so it is really difficult to get the under-20 national team a lot of reps as far as international matches. This will be out, and it'll be Casey Murphy's chance for the goal kick. Talked about the fact that from 1941 to 1979, it was actually illegal for women in Brazil to play soccer. So talk about challenges. That's probably the greatest challenge of them all. Now, certainly things have begun to change with stars like Cristiane and Marta rising to prominence, and they actually were discovered by accident. But it could be the ingredients for perhaps the rise of soccer in Brazil on the women's side, to say the least. And especially with Brazil hosting the Olympics next year, could be a productive one at that. Carla will pick it up once again for the Brazilians. Plays for Grêmio and Osasco, Sao Paulo. Clears it just shy of midfield. And a battle for possession, and it's won by Parker Roberts. Jacobs looking this way for Flores. Instead, she'll change course and go to Kaylee Reel, number 19 on the U.S. back line. And Har has it. Har, plenty of space to work with. She'll slip it off. There's Pugh, but Carla just in front of her. Dorival Bueno on the near side here for Brazil, a manager for this Brazilian under-20 national team, holding his breath whenever he sees number 9 break free for the U.S. Mallory, 13 matches coming in on the under-20 level, 5 goals. She led the under-17 CONCACAF championship in scoring with 5 goals and 3 assists. Remember the U.S. U17 team 2 years prior to 2015. Throw in, Pugh, push from behind. Looking for a whistle, didn't get it, but it will stay with the U.S. nonetheless. And a throw for Flores, who's certainly been busy. Flores, 19 years of age. Here's Ray Siopi. Sidesteps the defense, top of the box. Shoots, and that one is handled by Carla. Good defense from number 14 for Brazil. Kept sliding to try and force Ray Siopi to the outside. Ray Siopi with the only goal here today. United States leading Brazil 1-0 with about 5 minutes to go in this opening half. Danny Lee with you from Glenn Mooch Meyernick Field at the National Training Center, Carson, California, just outside Los Angeles. Tearing up the field on the opposite side is Peterson, matched up with Bruna Calderon. Now she circles around and is locked in the corner. U.S. trying to get the corner kick. Instead, the whistle will go against the USA, and Jasmine Peralta says ball back to Brazil. There's Karen to do the honors over on the far side of the field. Six-time under-20 South American champions, Brazil. And pretty much across the board on the women's side, the most successful team in South America. And here comes a chance for the U.S. You got Raciopi on the left, Pugh on the right, and good defense by Matos to turn away that latest U.S. attack. And Jordan Hart trying to keep it alive for the U.S., clad in their red and blue uniforms. But Brazil's got it. Julia Bianchi, and now some room to run for the Brazilians, as they've been playing a lot of defense. Not a whole lot of offense as Gabriella's fouled. And here comes the Seleção. Gabriella takes it away from Flores. Matos at midfield. Julia Bianchi deflects off the referee and goes back to Buckingham, leading the charge for the U.S. She has Raciopi in front of her. Drops it off to Flores, wide on the right flank. 43rd minute. Flores off the left foot, over the head of Raciopi. And Bruna Calderon clears it out. Good movement from the United States once more. So the finale here at the Under-20 Women's NTC Invitational. First year of this particular tournament at this level. The U17s, as mentioned, have been playing the last couple of years, including earlier this year in which the U.S. beat Japan to win it all. Japan beat Mexico 9-0 to clinch the trophy. In fact, they were handed the trophy right after the match was over, and Japan got on a bus, and they're already making their preparations to go home. Natalie Jacobs will give it away, and Casey Murphy has it for the United States. Murphy and her Rutgers team ended up in the second round and losing to Virginia this past season. Here come the Brazilians. Kellen double teamed over there. Good defense by the team of Kaylee Reel and Courtney Peterson. And a throw in for Bruna Calderon. Just over a minute to go in regulation in the first half, and we'll see how much stoppage time is added. Brenna. And wide open for Casey Murphy to pick it up. Murphy taking her time as she lines the ball up on top of the 6. And still waiting on it. Finally gives it the boot before a 50-50 ball comes down. One of the key factors that the United States manager talked about coming in, Michelle French, had said that one of the keys to this particular match was winning the 50-50 balls. Well, they haven't had a whole lot of them, but they have profited off of them when they have won them. And another one sent over into the Brazilian half of the green. So just 1 minute of stoppage time added here. So we'll have just over a minute to go in this first half, which saw a 21st minute goal scored by Taylor Raciopi. Her first ever Under-20 international goal to give the United States the lead over Brazil, no less. Here's Marjorie into the middle, and nearly an opportunity for Kellen, but Murphy snuffs it out. And here's Megan Buckingham for the U.S. Sends it down to Pugh. It's off the back heel. And the soon-to-be UCLA Bruin in a couple of years' time. Now battling on the near side, throws down Julia Bianchi with but 30 seconds or so to go. And Julia Bianchi having referee words for the referee, who's warning her at this point. Buckingham. Raciopi now draws a double team from Brazil. And they'll ensure that the United States will throw it in as we have just a few seconds to go. And that'll do it. So the first half comes to a close. The United States putting the heat on the Seleção. And in the 21st minute of action, Mallory Pugh, normally the goal scorer for the U.S., with a deft passing display, finding Taylor Raciopi for her first Under-20 international goal. And the United States will trot into the halftime interval, leading 1-0, trying to take down the Brazilians. We'll have more for you in just a little bit, so stick with us here at the 2015 Under-20 Women's NTC Invitational here from Carson, California. Welcome back, everyone, to the 2015 Under-20 Women's NTC Invitational. Danny Lee with you. Glad you can join us for the finale of this inaugural tournament. We start the second half. Couple of substitutions. And you know, it's always a good thing that when the players were on the field ready to go, wait long before the referees were out there. It's always good if you're a manager and that's what you see. Players are ready to kick things off, but the referees are about 5 minutes away from starting the half, but they have made their way onto the pitch as well. And so the substitutions here in the second half for Brazil coming in, Tabata Silva. She replaces Kellen. And for the United States, Marley Canales comes in and spells Megan Buckingham. Now, just as a reminder, in this tournament, 6 substitutions per team is allowed. Only 3, however, second half substitutions are allowed for, or stoppages are allowed for those substitutions. Oh, and a collision on all sides taking place on that last exchange. And Savannah DeMello going head over heels. Fortunately, she's up and running back. But there was a collision of bodies there. Fortunately, all involved okay. And we're underway here in the second half. The 1 goal in the first half coming from Taylor Raciopi. At the 21st minute mark, Mallory Pugh with the assist. And that has been the difference so far in the scoring column. The United States attacking to our left, Kaylee Reel with the nutmeg, nicely done through the wickets of Marjorie, number 16 for Brazil, draped in the gold, green, and blue uniforms. And the U.S. back with possession. Kaylee Reel for the Americans. Reel, who plays at Penn State. Penn State well represented, not only on the roster, but also Erica Walsh, the assistant for this U.S. U20 women's team, is the head coach at Penn State. Madeline Elliston, who we have not seen, another player on the squad, also playing for the Nittany Lions. United States turned away. Karen with the high vaulting clearance. That's tracked down by Courtney Peterson as the wind's still blowing. And making sure those of us up here get good usage out of our Scotch tape, that's for sure. Brazil back with possession. Here's Marjorie. Marjorie goes down, no whistle. Mallory Pugh wanted a whistle. She fell on top of the ball, and Mallory thought that she touched it with a hand, but no whistle from our referee, Jasmine Peralta. And clubbing it out of bounds, Jordan Haar. Brazil possession under blue skies. It was cloudy in the first match. Literally and almost figuratively for Mexico, which lost 9-0 today to Japan. Japan crowned the champions of this NTC Invitational here in Carson, California, just south of downtown Los Angeles. Nice cool day, temperature in the 60s. And a handball called on Pugh, so the Brazilians will have a free kick. These ladies returning to Brazil after the contest and will prepare to defend for the 7th time their Under-20 South American Championship. And an errant pass by Bruna Calderon will give the U.S. possession on the Brazil half of this pitch. Courtney Peterson, who's on her way to the University of Virginia. Peterson throwing up the near touchline, finds Raciopi in the corner, and Raciopi is able to knock it off of Bruna Calderon, and another corner kick for the USA. You remember in the first half, toward the end of the period, they had about 3, or rather 4 in succession, and they've continued to put the pressure on the Brazil defense, which has been stout, holding the United States to only the 1 goal despite a number of opportunities. This one by Raciopi out of the, check that was actually Marley Canales out of the corner. Nevertheless, sent out toward midfield. and unable to get a hold of it, Gabriela. However, it will be Brazil's throw-in. Throw-in coming from Bruna Calderon, who plays with club team Tapejara. Gabriela, like her teammate Carla, in goal from Grêmio. And Brazil able to maintain possession. Here's Brenna. That's the only goal this week for the Brazilians. And it's Mallory Pugh finding Savannah DeMello. Kaylee Reel gets by Ray Siopi. And Beatriz Menezes for the Brazilians keeps it alive for Brenna. Back to DeMello for the U.S. And Brenna has some not-so-kind words for the referee, but the United States will have possession nonetheless. Dorival Bueno, the Brazilian manager, was calling for a handball, but the U.S. with possession. Jordan Haar. Top of the box, here's Ray Siopi. Looking near side for Canales. A little too strong, and perhaps the wind had a little effect on that. Now blowing this direction. Canales, another Bruin to be. She's committed to UCLA, an NSCAA All-American. Played at the IMG Academy, native of San Diego, California. Carla, able to clear it out of harm's way. Beatriz Menezes about 45 yards down the field to Gabriela, and a foul. And here comes Brazil moving their way down the U.S. half of the green. And this time Julia Bianchi tangled up with Parker Roberts, and Roberts is going to get a yellow card here. So Roberts, the second U.S. yellow card in this tournament. Jordan Haar, also with a yellow card earlier this week. And Julia Bianchi, who's probably one of the more vocal players down on the field for Brazil, perhaps getting under the skin a little bit of the United States. Beatriz Menezes. There's Tabata. And Tabata can hang on to it, so it'll go back to the United States. Team USA with the 1-0 lead in the 52nd minute. Over the head of Ray Siopi. But the U.S. will keep it. And it'll be Flores on the opposite half of the pitch.
Of USA.
United States earlier this week in the opener lost 3-0 to Japan. And Michelle French said, and especially after watching that team just take apart Brazil with a 4-goal win, and then what they did to Mexico earlier today, winning by 9 goals, says that team is among the best in the world to be placed with the company of the Germanys and the Frances of the world. And as we talked about earlier, with that core group back from the U17 World Cup could be a factor going in to next year's World Cup in Papua New Guinea at the U20 level. And with the women's senior national team, with a lot of World Cup veterans and players who are already a little long in the tooth, those may be some names that you may be hearing for a little while. Murphy, nice long clearance. And Canales down the field. There's Pugh. Pugh trying to run free at the expense of Matos. The cross into the box. Jordan Haar trying to unleash a shot. Can't do it. Chasing it into the corner. Karen closing in. And it will be a throw-in for the U.S. Peterson will have the honors just outside the flag. You can see not blowing a whole lot from that corner. But believe you me, the winds have been pretty strong out here. Taylor Pugh standing over. Now, some confusion. Brazil thought it was their possession, and the United States thought it was theirs, but Jasmine Peralta said it's U.S. ball. So Marley Canales will set it up. I mean, initially, Mallory Pugh stood over the ball, but she's an important target, not one to take the free kick, so they want her right in the middle of the action. Canales over to the far post, and Carla snags that one on the fly. Carla's full name, Carla Maria Silva, 18-year-old, in net for the Brazilians. Tabata. Tabata takes it for the Brazilians. Seleção making a charge valiantly down the field here at Meyernick Field. And now it's an opportunity for Marjorie. Try to uncork the cross instead, and Gabriela step behind the play. 56th minute. The Raciopi goal still holding up for the United States. Casey Murphy played club for the PDA Slammers, native of Bridgewater, New Jersey. One of actually 4 players on the U.S. team from New Jersey. This one a strong shot from far out. Murphy couldn't handle it. That was from Brenna. So now a corner kick for the Brazilians trying to equalize. Brenna, number 7, who's dashing into the corner at the top left of your screen. She had the goal, as mentioned, plays for Botafogo, and was on the Brazilian team in the U17 World Cup, and now helps to set up the goal that equalizes here for the United States, and we've got a 1-1 tie. All it took was that one opportunity for the Brazilians, and they were able to cash it in, and Gabriela on the receiving end. Nice pass, and look at that. Gabriela right perfectly redirecting it on the header off the Brenna corner kick. So Gabriela gets her first goal of the tournament and is able to tie it off the Brenna corner kick. And it's a 1-1 draw, and we're back to an even-sum match. And for the United States, Kelsey Hedge checking in for the first time in this match. Kelsey taking out Jordan Haar. Kelsey playing at the University of Washington come this fall. Brazilians, Karen, number 3, keeping it out of trouble, but now renewed vigor for the Brazil side after the goal by Gabriela to tie it up at 1 apiece. Marjorie. Goes back to Raciopi. In front of her. Instead, vaults it across the field. Too tall for Pugh, as well as Canales. Pugh's only 5'3", Canales is 5'4". So Carla, the clearance opportunity. As far as the standings in this, we already mentioned Japan won the title. Still second place is up for grabs. At the start of the day, both teams had 1 win and a loss. On the goal differential, the United States -2 because they lost to Japan by 3 goals. The Brazilians lost to Japan by 4. Each team beat Mexico by a 1-0 tally, so that is the difference right now. United States, another substitution.
Goal scored for Brazil.
Emily Ogle will be coming in,
number 10,
and out comes Savannah DeMello.
Substitution in the 57th minute.
So Ogle will come in the midfield, a native of Strongsville, Ohio,
leaving the game,
playing at Penn State. Another Penn State player on this team. Big Ten Freshman of the Year this past year. 3 goals, 6 assists. About 2,000 minutes played for the Nittany Lions this past year. Brazil now trying to go ahead. Ball flutters out of bounds, and Bruna Calderon will have another throw-in. The Brazilians looking for a victory over the United States, which, as we mentioned, these two countries, whether it's on the under-20 level or the senior women's national level, they have been on a collision course often over the last few years. Last August, Lindsey Horan in the United States knocked out the Brazilians from the tournament. The team did qualify for the U17 World Cup last year. The United States on the women's senior national team at the Olympics 2004 and 2008 beat Brazil in the gold medal final on both accounts. Here's Yasmin, top of the box. Tabata gets ahead on it. Beatriz Menezes tried the shot on the redirection, and it went wide of the net of Murphy. So a goal kick with about a half an hour to go. United States had the lead on Raciopi's goal in the first half, but in the second, off the Brenna corner kick, Gabriela with the header on the volley to tie it up 1-1. Chasing the ball, risky header by Beatriz Menezes. What with Mallory Pugh steaming in behind, but Carla is able to pick it up just before the prodigious striker for the U.S. is able to get her foot on it. U.S. tangled up in midfield. Going down as Ogle, but she maintains her composure. Here's a takeaway, Tabata. That ball is behind Kelsey Hedge, and it will be Bruna Calderon for Brazil. Late whistle called with Marjorie going down. Brazil to set up their pieces down the field. See Dorival Bueno off to our right. There's Taylor Raciopi, the goal scorer for the United States. And Yasmin, number 6, with the placement for the Brazilians. Yasmin plays for club team São José, 2-time women's Copa do Brasil champs, and nearly the Brazilian champs in 2013, runner-up to Central. Though they are the 2-time reigning Copa Libertadores champions, the South American club champions in Brazil. São José, one of the top women's clubs. Though they are few and far between, as Brazil still trying to build up their women's league down to the Brasileiro. The Brasileiro, I should say. Good tackle on the opposite side by Gabriela. U.S. keeps possession. Throw it on the far side of the pitch. Mallory Pugh looking for Raciopi. That was the connection that led to the goal in the 21st minute. Flores throws it in. Here's Canales with nice cross. Raciopi trying to beat Carla, and they both slide into one another. Raciopi frustrated as she saw a potential opportunity from point-blank range. Now Carla exhorting her teammates in front of her, and she'll just let it fly. With the wind, it's becoming a more eventful task for the keepers to try and get it over the midfield stripe, but Brazil nonetheless able to hang on to possession. Carla with Pugh coming on. Good takeaway for the U.S. striker. Pugh, the cross. Raciopi misfires. Looking on the one-timer. And Carla's got it again. So the play begins to pick up a little bit here. And nearly a bad miscue for Carla. And almost came back to bite Brazil. Here's Tabata. looking for Marjorie. And again, it's Brenna having some words for the referee. Julia Bianchi goes to Matos. Beatriz Menezes. Here's Karen, just gets it away, and that's what Mallory Pugh will do. And Dorival Bueno yelling at his players to get up and pressure the United States. It will be Brazil possession deep on the U.S. half of the green, and that's off of Julia Bianchi. And the United States, at that point, will take over. Courtney Peterson, defender from Canton, Michigan. It's off the back of Julia Bianchi. And Peterson will have the opportunity to move up. 66th minute, Danny Lee with you from Meyernick Field here at the U.S. National Training Center. 2015 U20 Women's NTC Invitational. Japan already winning the event, but the United States trying to get their second win. But deadlocked right now with Brazil. Matos keeps it alive. Real able to send it all the way onto the Brazil 18. There's Flores. What a very busy first half for the Americans. Ogle. Real. Near side Peterson, nearly a handball on Hedge. Nevertheless, a takeaway, and it's taken right back by Peterson. Counterattack for the U.S. Here comes Raciopi. And she runs right into Matos. And the U.S. will have an opportunity here on the set piece out of the corner. Here comes Marley Canales to take it. Canales, who plays with the San Diego Surf Club. Yeah, a lot of the U.S. bench looking over at the Brazilians, as you can clearly hear in the background. That was all the Brazilian coaching staff. This one up into the air. Raciopi was out of bounds. Passed by Peterson, got picked up into the wind, and like a knuckleball floated right over the end line. We've had a steady supply of wind here in Carson, California, just down the road from Los Angeles proper. Sitting in the shadow of the StubHub Center, the home to the LA Galaxy. A busy day in soccer all around. The Women's World Cup beginning, the Men's Under-20 World Cup continuing. The Champions League final earlier today, won by Barcelona over Juventus. 4th time in 10 years. Barcelona winning the treble yet again. And we've got the Invitational here. We're basically at a beginning of a new World Cup cycle. In both countries that you see here, and all 4 of them for that matter, trying to solve their pieces. But I think that one of the take-home points from this Invitational is that Japan, they've got a pretty good team for having played their first international games, and against the likes of Brazil, Mexico, and the United States, putting up a total of 16 goals in the 3-match event. They look like one of the teams to beat, other than, of course, Germany. The reigning champ at the U20 level. But Japan, the U17 reigning champion. So the United States will make another substitution. Ashley Sanchez. Well, you talked to the coaching staff about Ashley Sanchez, and Michelle French was talking about her before this match with us, and she had so many superlatives. She is the youngest on this roster, only 16 years old. She was born March 16th, 1999. She's already committed to play at UCLA, though, in 2017. But just an outstanding performance on the international level. 11 goals at the U17 level. She had a hat trick against Mexico. She had 5 goals in the February NTC U17 here. And remember, she's just the youngest on the squad, yet she has just the ability, the technical ability for the squad, and the agility, and obviously the goal-scoring prowess, and at just such a young age. Huge bright spot. And keep in mind that even though she's playing for this U20 team, she is eligible to play for the U17 World Cup this summer in Jordan. Could be a busy summer for that young lady. Ball the way around to Casey Murphy. As we near the 70-minute mark, still tied at 1. Sanchez gets her first touch on the ball. Near side, here's Matos. And the U.S. picking up a little steam here. Peterson will throw it in. Pugh greets it in the corner. Karen in defense. And it will stay with the Stars and Stripes. Goal by Raciopi in the first half. Gabriela for Brazil in the second half, which has led us to this juncture. And at the U20 NTC Invitational. So Carla will give it the heave-ho for the Seleção. And once again, we've got the USA and Brazil played out on the women's pitch. And it has, once again, a little bit of drama and stored. Kaylee Reel. Jacobs for the U.S. Carla reeling it in. And Brazil will reshuffle the deck once more. Beatriz Meneses up the far side, but back to the Americans. Flores. Canales trying to get a hold of it. Yasmin for that São Jose team, which has 4 players on the national squad. Rosana and Formiga have come from that club team, São Jose. Yasmin teammates with the two of them. Formiga, by the way, tying a World Cup record this time around with her 6th World Cup appearance in the Women's World Cup. Omarisawa of Japan also playing in her 6th World Cup. So those two are tied for the record. This ball out of bounds and a throw in for Brazil. Bruna Calderon. Marjorie. Julia Bianchi. This ball heading for the byline, and Brazil will have themselves a corner kick and a chance to try and go ahead of the U.S. Remember their last corner kick. Brena took it, and Gabriela headed it in on the fly. It'll be Yasmin this time to take the corner kick out of the right side, and the wind is blowing squarely at the U.S. net. So all eyes naturally on Casey Murphy, the Bridgewater, New Jersey native, between the pipes. Down the field comes Mallory Pugh. Pugh, top of the box. Pugh dances to the right. Pugh still with possession from point blank, shoots and scores, and the United States takes a 2-1 lead. So the USA able to get the goal from Mallory Pugh, and who else showing her footwork ability, taking down the Brazilians on her lonesome. And scoring her 2nd goal of the tournament and her 6th goal as a member of the U20 international team.
Goal scored for USA
in just her
in the
14th
74th
cap. She has
minute
6
by
goals for the
number
U20
9,
national team.
Mallory Pugh.
Fantastic beginnings for Mallory Pugh, the native of Highlands Ranch, Colorado, only 17 years of age, and figures to be a core of the U20s. So it's 2-1 in favor of the United States. And Mallory hoping for a second game winner here at the NTC Invitational. Brenna, as the Brazilians look to rally again. Bruna Calderon shoved off the ball. Physical play by Courtney Peterson. And there's Mallory Pugh as Brenna goes down. Over to Canales on the far side. Canales retrieves and will throw in for the United States. Thrown over to the right corner. And it's Ashley Sanchez for the U.S. Brief touch on it. Out toward midfield. Kept alive by Kaylee Reel. Roberts. Hedge. Here's Mallory Pugh again. This time Pugh had it taken away from behind by Karen. And again for the Americans, Peterson from distance. That one was rocketed high and over. And Carla once again for the Brazilians. Seleção falling behind in the first half on Taylor Raciopi's goal. However, they had the answer when Gabriela scored in the 57th minute, but just a few moments ago, Mallory Pugh with the go-ahead for the U.S. to put them up 2-1. And now an errant pass leading to a throw-in for Team Brazil. Third match of the week for these two squads. United States and Brazil, their lone victories, both 1-0 wins over Mexico, which finished up their play in this tournament without scoring a goal. And left here from Carson, California, a little battered after losing 9-0 to Japan earlier today. Serena Flores, sophomore at the University of Notre Dame. And as mentioned, her twin sister Monica plays with her in South Bend, but in this tournament playing against her on Thursday as a representative from Mexico with dual citizenship. Here's Casey Murphy. And she'll move it ahead as the United States now trying to steer the ship out of trouble with Brenna closing in. One thing that Brazil prides itself on is that physical brand of soccer, possession, so crucial for them, and winning those 50-50 balls. However, possession has not necessarily favored Brazil, though they have made usage of their opportunities. The United States has had a lot of the possession going their way in this match. Mallory Pugh outside the 18, which is exactly where the Brazilians want her. Canales with some fancy footwork, but for not. And they're going to say now that Brazil got a touch on that, so it will be out of the corner for the United States, looking to try and put this one away. And it'll be Marley Canales. '17-year-old from San Diego, California. Remember the 1997 class on this team. Canales Goes to Pugh. Canales trying to blister it back into the box, but it'll be Carla's ball for Brazil. And the 18-year-old keeper will handle it once more. United States leading 2-1. Mallory Pugh. Putting the United States on top. And now the Stars and Stripes looking for more. Hedge trying to get the inside step near side. Pugh was there, but well defended. And having to back her way out of trouble. Emily Ogle here in the 80th minute. Wide left is Peterson. Bruna called her on with another defensive stop. She's had a busy day. And why not? Charged in no small part with trying to keep Mallory Pugh in check. But Mallory, in addition to getting her second goal this tournament, and her 6th as a member of the national team, also with an assist on the Ray Siopi goal in the 21st minute. Brenna, nice pass across the field to Marjorie. Marjorie matched up with Sabrina Flores. Good pass to Giulia Bianchi. However, unable to dump it off to Yasmin, the intended target, and back to Murphy it goes. So up next for the U.S. after this tournament, Michelle French talked about a couple of potential tournaments coming up for the United States, including one in Honduras to get the U.S. bearings. Everything that the U.S. does in the next 6-7 months or so will be in the lead up to the Under-20 CONCACAF Championships. Building for the qualifier to next summer's World Cup. Kaylee Reel to Kelsey Hedge, the soon-to-be University of Washington Husky, and the Gatorade Idaho Player of the Year from a couple of years ago at Post Falls, Idaho High School. And Reel over to Natalie Jacobs, back to Peterson. Throwing for Brenna, who assisted on the lone goal for the Brazilians, Gabriela. Brazil ready to make another substitution. Ochilia is about to ready to come in for Dora Valbueno's side. Ochilia with Centro Olímpico, the Brazilian club champions in 2013. And that's a club that features 6 players on the Women's Senior World Cup team right now, including Christiane, second leading scorer in Brazil World Cup, or national history that is, behind Marta. Marjorie will be coming out, and Otilia will be coming in to give some more reinforcements up top. There comes Otilia, number 18, and you can see the size being inserted as well by Dora Valbueno, the manager of this Under-20 World Cup squad last summer, and presumably will be in charge of this team going forward into the next World Cup cycle. In the corner, Mallory Pugh breaks free, looking for Hedge, loose ball, and there's Carla there to snag it. 84th minute, U.S. leading 2-1 over Brazil. First meeting between these two countries since the Under-20 World Cup last August, when the U.S., after a scoreless 81 minutes, saw Lindsay Oran knock the Brazilians out of the tournament with a goal. Collision at midfield, and Marley Canales is slow to get up. Canales being checked on by Mallory Pugh, and here comes the U.S. trainer, Joan Reed. Check to make sure she's all right. So as the clock continues, we'll have presumably stoppage time added on after the 90-minute mark. The U.S. leading 2-1, and just as a scoring recap, if you're just tuning in, second match of the day at the Women's NTC Invitational here in Carson, California, just south of Los Angeles. Danny Lee with you, and we'll check out what happened. You see the collision right there. May have been knocked knees. Tabata and Marley Canales. Canales now up to her feet. A good sign as she limps off the field. Helped off by Joan Reed, the U.S. trainer. But the U.S. took the lead in the 21st minute. Mallory Pugh feeding Taylor Raciopi. And then in the 57th minute, Gabriela heading in the corner kick from Brenna. And then Mallory Pugh scoring the go-ahead goal about 10 minutes ago or so. And the U.S. has held the lead back since 2-1. Now Brazil trying to rally once more, at least take a point from this matchup. Flores. Canales walking over to the opposite side, and she just got the thumbs up from the trainer, Joan Reed, so it looks like Canales will be coming in. So even before Marley had a chance to walk back to the touchline, she'll be beckoned back on, so a good sign for the United States, with 4 minutes of regulation time to go. And the U.S. trying to up their official international record to 5-1, with the lone loss coming to Japan on Tuesday. Ball out to midfield, knocked down by the United States' Emily Ogle. Another collision, and Canales again on the ground. This time she's quick to get back onto her feet. Here's Brenna. And Brenna will reverse direction. Near side is Bruna Calderon, looking for Tabata. And that's off the instep of Peterson, a throw-in for the Seleção. 87 minutes up. Thrown in the corner, Otilia shoves off the defender, Kaylee Reel. Nevertheless, the ball was out of bounds, and it will be Murphy's goal kick. Murphy, who went 13-6-1 for Rutgers, 0.64 goals against average this past season, 10 shutouts. And as mentioned, reaching the second round NCAA tournament. Three players on this U.S. team, Raciopi, Reel, and Pugh, all a member of the Under-20 U.S. national team that played at the World Cup last year. And they've all had an impact on this one, helping to guide the team in the next cycle in the early stages here. Ball out of bounds, efforts by Brenna. And Brazil now having to pick up the pace a little bit because they're starting to run out of time. Ball out of bounds off Reel. Brazil will step up again, and here's Bruna Calderon again. Over the head of Otilia. Reel sends it back, and it's off the head of Karen, and a throw-in for Courtney Peterson. So the exact dates of the next tournaments coming up, or next international play for this U20 team have not exactly been determined yet. However, between their success in Spain at the La Manga tournament in March and the last couple of months here, certainly some positive signs for Michelle French and the coaching staff. But they know they got a lot of work to do. One of the things we talked about at the top that Michelle talked with us about was the players trying too hard to impress. And that's something that you see early on in a World Cup cycle. A lot of the younger players trying to endear themselves to the coaches and trying to become too hesitant of not making too many mistakes. And that as sort of a paradoxical function of perhaps not being aggressive enough, but the United States is broken out here today, playing more of the soccer that Michelle French wanted to see in this match. Out of bounds, and as you heard in the background, 3 minutes of stoppage time added. So Brazil has a little extra time to try and see if they can equalize here, but right now the U.S. has it deep on their half of the here at Meyernick Field at the National Training Center. Karen goes down, but she'll get the throw-in. So another push in store for the Brazilians is Brenna. Flagged down by Hedge. Bruna Calderon. Off the head of Tabata. It's out of bounds before Peterson can get her foot on it. Bruna again to Otilia. About 2 minutes to go of stoppage time. Deep throw in now. And Bruna Calderon will come up again. Giulia Bianchi. Instead it'll go to Otilia, who's double teamed in the corner. Ball out of bounds. Oh, and not the reaction, or at least not the call that Otilia wanted, as she was barking at the lineswoman on the near side. Because that ball out of bounds and the clearance by Casey Murphy will eat up a lot of clock, and there's only about 3 minutes of stoppage time added. Foul whistled on Kelsey Hedge. Waiting for someone to take the free kick for the Brazilians. Yasmin will do it. But Brazil taking their time, and the referee continues to let Brazil know that they keep moving the ball up. Jasmine Peralta, the referee, is trying to say push the ball back toward midfield, and the Brazilians, and a little bit of gamesmanship, trying to move it closer to the U.S. goal. 45 seconds or so left, presumably until the final whistle here in Carson, California, to wrap up the first Under-20 NTC Invitational. Japan, the champions. And the U.S., if they win, they'll finish in second in the four-team table. Peterson, ball out of bounds. It'll stay with Brazil, and this may be their last opportunity of the afternoon. Bruna Calderon. Gabriela hanging on to it. U.S. players yelling no corner, trying to force the Brazilians to work out of a throw-in. Gabriela, once again, marked well by the U.S. And another nice play from Courtney Peterson, who's played very well here this afternoon. Giulia Bianchi. And there's the final whistle, and this one is over with. So a hard-fought 90 minutes plus for these two teams, and the U.S. And Brazil play to another very nice matchup. This
The
one
final
going the
score
way
of today's
of the
match
United
is
States.
USA 2,
They had the
Brazil
initial
1.
lead after Mallory Pugh worked her magic nicely to Taylor Raciopi. The equalizer came in the second half from Brazil. Gabrielle off the Brenna corner kick. However, it was Mallory Pugh going one on many against the Brazil defense, using some nifty footwork to score the game-winning goal, her 6th under-20 national goal. And the United States wins it 2-1 here in the finale of the 2015 Women's NTC Invitational. Thank you so much, folks, for checking out this inaugural event, for all the folks at U.S. Soccer and our great crew at the Torbo Sports Group. This is Danny Lee saying so long and thanks for watching the U20 Women's NTC Invitational. Japan, the champions, but the United States ends their efforts here in Carson with a 2-1 victory over Brazil. Until then, this is Danny Lee saying so long and thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time.